One of my favorite aspects of Domo is using data sets to create automated actions in different systems. And so today I'm going to use a integrator called Integromat that basically lets you leverage lots of different systems. And in this case, I'm going to create a Slack workflow where basically I have a data set here in Domo, and I want to write out these messages to my to a Slack channel. And I'm going to do this using this service called Make. And this is going to be the end product here, where it's going to write off a message from a bot to a channel. Um, the things that I used here is I first of all leveraged the um, one of the APIs that Domo offers, and in this case, it's actually authenticating with the API token, and so that's generated over here in admin. You'll just generate an API token over here. Once you have the API token, then you can start to make requests. And in this case, I am hitting this API query where you can post this, you can send off a post request and put in SQL. So in this case, it's just standard SQL, select star from table, and then it'll give you an output that you can then use in the rest of your Integromat. And so Integromat is a lot like Zapier if you've used that before. But basically, we start off here with the API from Domo. We get the data, and then it comes to us, and we parse it out. And so in this case, I'm parsing out the data source, and I return back the output of, it'll show me the data source, but in this case, I really just care about the rows. So here we can see the different rows that are happening, and that looks to line up correctly with our data source. Let me just come back here real quick. We just got 3 rows, perfect. And so now it's going to parse through it, and then it's going to create an array. And with that array, we can use this iterator to iterate across the array, right? So in this case, it'll iterate for each row. It'll perform an action, and that action is pretty simple. All it's doing is it's coming to a Slack Domo channel, and then it'll paste the value that it got from the iterator, and then it'll just write it out to the channel. And let me just show you real quick. Let's run this real quick. So we'll just say run once, and we can see it went through. And now if I come over here, I can see I have an alert, and we can see that my messages came into Slack. Awesome. Wanted to walk through some of the considerations or the pain points that I experienced here. The largest one is just really understanding this how this API works here. This syntax here, it's not super well documented in the documentation, but once you figure out that you just basically put a SQL query in JSON, and then you can create your data set. This also here isn't very well documented, but this is the query API, and you just want to make sure you're authenticating with a developer token, not a client ID and secret. So this is a different API than just the normal API.domo, and so that's a big consideration. From there, it's really just testing, right? So with Integromat, it's nice because you can always run, and then up here, it'll give you the outputs. And so as you're working through this, you just kind of debug where, this took me a little bit to figure out to parse it and then iterate. I just use these debug logs where it'll show me the bundles. And so in this case, you can expand and kind of debug and get a log of what's happening. But this is nice because really you could set this up on a schedule, right? So if I wanted to run this every day, I could have it go every day at a certain time. You can also have a trigger base where you could have a webhook at the beginning of this. So lots of possibilities here. I really like this. Like I said, one of my favorite aspects of Domo is being able to automate action off of it, right? So data set alerts are also really powerful. So this is just a fun use case. Thanks.